Hello and welcome to Spotlight on Live on S24 Television, where we bring you voices shaping Nigeria's future, often uncomfortable, always necessary. I am Halima Abdulrauf, and today we sit with a man who has never shied away from speaking truth to power. Our guest, Malang Aar Sanjani, is a civil rights champion, founder of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, a board member and probably chairman, because I'm not so clear about that, at Transparency International Nigeria, and a resolute voice for accountability and justice in our country. Malang Aar, thank you for joining us on Spotlight on right here at S24 Television.
Thank you very much, and my pleasure to be here.
Today, Nigeria seems to live in a paradox. Massive insecurity spending, and yet deadly insecurity remains a daily reality for ordinary Nigerians, especially in rural communities. Recent statement from your end, CISLAC, shows the systemic corruption within the Defense Ministry, which continues to erode the state's capacity to secure lives, according to your analysis. From your vantage point, why has heavy security spending failed to translate into real protection for citizens, especially in rural communities, considering the recent kidnap of school children in various parts of the country?
Thank you very much. Obviously, no matter how much you try to spend in the security sector, if you do not deal with the issues of corruption, inefficiency, and totally, if you do not address the security sector reforms, you will just be doing window dressing. And that's over the years what we have been experiencing. Because of corruption, insecurity has become a huge business. You have a situation whereby, millions, if not trillions, are being wasted, stolen, siphoned, misappropriated in the name of security board, which in any way did not in any way add or help to address the insecurity that we face. Secondly, the defense procurement corruption. If you do not deal with it, there's no way you can address the insecurity in Nigeria. Again, you have a situation whereby even the security personnel themselves are demotivated. They are not given the necessary welfare and
packages,
even
support,
the equipment and facilities that they are supposed to, work with. They don't have. So you are going to continue to endanger the life of not only the citizens, but even the security personnel. So we have a situation whereby huge amount of money will be budgeted for in the name of security to buy arms and ammunition. This equipment, they never get to this security personnel. Secondly, where they get it, some of them who are very unpatriotic, they sell it to criminals, as alleged even by the National Security Advisor. So you have a situation whereby even the auditor of the Federal Republic of Nigeria highlighted in his audit report that arms and ammunition of huge amount of money that were supposed to be purchased, delivered to the police, they never see the light of the day. So I think, if we are honest and serious about, addressing the issues of insecurity, we have to deal with issues of corruption. We have to deal with issues of incompetency. We have to deal with the issue of nepotism. We have to deal with the issues of the fact that people deserve to be promoted and they are not promoted. You have a situation whereby in this country, an individual law was made or amended to favor an individual. This is definitely not going to help in terms of dealing with insecurity. Again, the absence or lack of cooperation, coordination, partnership, and sharing of intelligence information with the different security arms continue to exacerbate this whole issue of insecurity. So until we deal with all these issues, successfully, decisively, we will not be able to mitigate the consequences of the insecurity that has ravaged our country, which has led to serious underdevelopment, serious poverty, because if there is insecurity in the place, economic activity will go down. Like you can see in many communities in the northern Nigeria, the poverty has increased because of the absence of economic activity that can help address the poverty, the inequality in the country. So corruption in the security sector has a huge ramification, implication, and consequences for the country well-being or for the people's well-being, like we have seen now in Nigeria. That is why Transparency International, which is CISLAC, has come out to say, look, if you're really serious about dealing with insecurity in this country, you need to do security sector reforms. You cannot be throwing this army to, incident or situation where you have internal security, forces that are supposed to be dealing with. If you look at the Nigerian army, they are virtually in every state doing one operation. So they are overstretched. They are not able to really harness the potential that they have to deal with this. They're supposed to be reinforcement. They're supposed to complement with what the police will do. But because today, police is completely in disarray, many of the police personnel have been assigned to the so-called BIP, including even some Yahoo people, some companies. The president gave directive. Unfortunately, the president directive is being disregarded. As I speak to you, some individuals have between 5 to 10, up to 20 policemen guarding them. They are not even government officials. So where is the president directive to the IG that the police officers should really come back to ungoverned spaces? They should come back to where they are needed. In Kano, for example, the federal emir that they have, he has between 15 to 20 policemen guarding him, even as I speak to you now, creating unnecessary...
There are two emirs in Kano, I suppose.
Well, there's only supposed to be one emir that is recognized by the law.
Yeah.
But which is Sunusi, Lamido Sunusi is the one that the law of the state recognized as, emir. But some people in Abuja have also decided to create their own emir, and that is well, they have not installed him because they didn't have the power, but they kept him creating chaos, artificial, complete, and providing him with almost 20 to more than 20 policemen guarding him.
And this is the recognized emir.
Yeah. Beside the recognized emir is not given that protection, but the unofficial emir that some people who are creating artificial problems in Kano, he has over 20. Go and check in Kano with the cars and everything, in a situation whereby we are lacking security even in the state. As you can see, some criminals, some bandits have already penetrated into Kano. Instead of taking those policemen to those communities to save lives, they are keeping them in an individual house who is not even an official. So this is the misplacement of the security that we are talking about, the priority. And that is why we are saying that if you want to really address the insecurity in the country, you have to do serious security sector reforms in this country, particularly with the police, because police are the major arms of government. Police, DSS, and civil defense, they are the one that you really need to reforms now, because they are the one who interact with the communities, with the people,
people.
Exactly. But you are now dragging army to every quarrel. Every quarrel, you are dragging the army. That is why you have created condition that people don't even begin to respect army, because the bad behavior that some of the police are doing, extorting money on the road, some of the unpatriotic army are equally doing the same thing. So this is not good for our country, and this is courtesy of corruption. Yeah,
you mentioned window dressing, and at the same time, you mentioned the recent directive from the federal government that police should be withdrawn from the so-called VIPs. I think reporting such incidences of the police still attached to these VIPs is very key. From your perspective as a civil rights activist, to make sure that the government knows that these directives are not being implemented. So on the window dressing, I'd like for you to throw a bit of more light in a few seconds for our viewers to understand better.
So the window dressing is, of course, the president made the pronouncement and it stopped at that. There's no actual practicality of his directives. Secondly, you cannot just make pronouncement without proper reform agenda. If you want to deal with the insecurity in this country, it's not by verbal pronouncement. Let Nigerians see a committee charged with the responsibility to draw up a reforms that will improve the security in the country.
Like an actionable plan.
Not just political talk. and not because some people, from external forces have said that you have to do that. Ideally, based on the fact that, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria gave you that primary responsibility. You are supposed to even do that without anybody asking you to do that. Now we had to wait until another country tell us that we should do something to protect lives and properties of the citizens. That's an indictment to me. And because we do not prioritize security in this country, that is why you see this. And also you see companies, businesses, instead of hiring private security to guide them, you are now using government resources, government personnel that are very scarce to now place them in various places, including hotels, clubs, lounge, various places that have nothing to do with actually having, a police person that, especially in the context of the fact that we have scarcity of the personnel that we have. Where do you need to go and be attaching to even singers? Do you know that it's so ridiculous that singers and their wives, police are following them, carrying their bags?
Unfortunately.
This is ridiculous. You are ridiculing the institution of the police and the security in this country. That singers, local singers, you are now attaching police men, for themselves and their, wives, and in some instances, even their girlfriends. This is not good for the image of Nigeria. We have to rise up to do something. You cannot have an AG that, his own agenda is basically to carry out certain things that are not really good. Like some heavy policemen went to Kano to arrest a lawyer, the former anti-corruption chairman of the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption, Muhimagaji, simply because he is now given responsibility as a lawyer to, prosecute, or rather to carry out legal action against, some powerful politicians who have defrauded allegedly the state, who have stolen and looted the state and cornered state properties to themselves. Now, police went in heavy arm, and arrested him. Meanwhile, the kidnappers, the bandits, the criminals are moving around without nobody doing anything to them. That is why Nigerians don't feel safe, they don't feel regarded, they don't feel protected under the leadership of the current IG, because misplacement of priority are being given. And I'm saying this because I know him, and I am hoping he will hear me, that he needs to do something to stop allowing policemen to go and perpetuate illegality, because there's court order preventing the police from arresting this particular lawyer, but they still went ahead. So this is why the whole world is laughing at us and calling us all sorts of names, because we don't even respect our own law, we don't respect our court.
Very sad. Is the problem more about policies, like you've mentioned, about reforms, accountability, or both? Policies and accountability?
It is all both, because when you have the policies, some people will implement it. And when they are not implementing it in the manner that they should do, then there's a challenge. So which means it is not the policy challenge, it is now about the implementation. It is lack of accountability from the people that are saddled with the responsibility to do that. If you commercialize and everything, you commercialize the security, privatize the security for personal interest, then we are in problem. You cannot find this even in Niger, in Chad, in Cameroon, in Benin. There's no way their personnel, security personnel, would be attached to some individual to be carrying handbag.
Very sad.
It's very disrespectful of the institution.
Unfortunately, in a country under nationwide security emergency as we are, with recruitment drives, forest guards, deployment, new policies, enlistment under Bola Tinubu's government, in what ways do we ensure these measures don't just become more money spent without results, like you've mentioned? So
as long as you do not have honest and sincere approach to dealing with insecurity in the country, it will still be the same cycle of justifying collecting more money and without any positive results. I am saying that even with the little resources that you have now, if there's a commitment, if there is honesty and sincerity to do with insecurity, we can be able to showcase positive progress in terms of, dealing with the insecurity in the country. You cannot have some small boys, from 15 to 30 years in the bushes doing live, programs,
posting what they're doing,
challenging even the security and even threatening to arrest even the president. And DSS is there, the police is there, the army is there, civil defense is there, all sorts of security apparatus are there. Nobody is going after them. But if you post anything against any policy that is maybe anti-people's policy, some people will feel bad and they will send security after you. This is the kind of situation that is making Nigerians not to have confidence in their government ability to, protect them. So you can actually, provide a lot of money, yet no security for the people. And yet this will not stop because some people have considered this as a money making. In fact, some people are saying that what President Tinubu has done with this pronouncement is to give opportunity allegedly for some people to make more money, because some of these private individuals will now give more money for the police security, authority to, keep them, to allow them to continue with them, which means that you have also created another avenue for those kind of extortion and collecting money allegedly, because this is what some Nigerians are, saying that is why the president directive is disregarded, is ignored. Otherwise, tell me, how can a president give directive 24 hours? You are not able to implement that.
Unfortunately, it's a sad situation. Let's look at corruption, defense, and public trust. Your 2025 briefing argued that opaque procurement, weak civilian oversight, and poor transparency have deepened the security crisis rather than resolve it. In concrete terms, what reforms should the government enact immediately, and why haven't we seen them yet?
So when there's no political will to carry out these reforms, you'll be moving around making this kind of empty pronouncement and commitment. So you need to have first the political will to ensure that we address the security sector gaps that we have in this country. Everyone knows that our security needs serious reforms, because a situation whereby there's no information sharing, no coordination, no cooperation, no collaboration, it is a rivalry and the antagonism that you see displaying among the security institutions. There's no way you can defeat criminals.
So in what ways do you think you can make them all come under one umbrella? One
of the ways that you need to do this is, first, you need to set up committees, assign them with a specific task on tangible reforms in this, which will include recruitment, because you cannot be recruiting people allegedly involved in,
the criminality,
spying or working with criminals. Secondly, you have a lot of people who are supposed to be promoted. You have not promoted them. You have also people who are not supposed to be promoted. You have used ethnic or religious sentiment to promote them. Therefore, you created rancor and anger within the officers. Again, you also do not even have life insurance for these guys that are putting their lives. Again, you do not also have effective supervision from the National Assembly. The National Assembly appears not to really be in charge of their responsibility to ensure effective oversight on the security sector, because if they had been doing that, oversight means going to the field to see what is working and what is not working. Is it the policy gaps? Is it the legal frameworks that is need to be amended? Or is it the money or over money or shortage of money? Or is it the prioritization of, placing one agency or the other? Or is it even the need to collapse, some agencies?
Security agencies.
So those are things that you need to tangibly do. And then accountability. You cannot continue to perpetuate human rights abuses in the name of security in this country. You saw how minors in this country were framed, dealt, malnourished, detained illegally in this country. Yet the president say, investigate those officers who have done that. Till today, nobody have been called to account. This is why I say the president has his word or his directive is worthless, because It's not today that he has given that instruction. He has given this kind of directive multiple times, and it's been ignored. And that is to tell you that the situation has gone just beyond what you are thinking. If the president, whether he was sincere, whether he was just saying it for political sake, he will make that pronouncement, and yet people who are supposed to take that
and implement,
they ignore him, then you know that there's a serious problem. And yet National Assembly did not use their oversight to raise issue of national concern about that. So the civilian has, they have also responsibility to ensure that in terms of early warning and early response, they play a key role in terms of providing credible information to the security. Again, some Nigerians are scared because in the past, or even now, whenever they provide credible information about certain insecurity incidents, they become victims. So many of them, they are deciding to just keep quiet, and that is not helping us. So that's why you see the perpetrators of these crimes are getting their way.
So that means you've mentioned like taking actions on time. Do you recommend proactive, much more like prevention than reactive? Because it's much more reactive now than, say, proactive, or you do a prevention control.
That is why we are talking about early warning and early response. You don't need to wait until the damage is done. You can prevent it. You can take necessary steps to make sure that you prevent people from perpetrating atrocities. You can do that. It's cost effective. If you do that, you don't need to wait until the damage is done. You now start running around. For example, all these artificial political crises. Why do you need them? You don't need to ignite artificial crises. You can prevent it and save lives and money. And you can also make use of the security. Some people allegedly say that even some security have to pay a bribe to get posted somewhere. This should not be happening in our country. The people that are assigned with this responsibility need to understand that, look, sooner or later, they will retire, and what legacy will they leave? So my own is that we don't need to wait until America or European or any country abuse us before we take action.
You mentioned political will, sir. And political will is something that we usually speak about. And then if we trickle it down, for instance, recently we interviewed the governor. From all indications, there is political will. But from appointment, from people that surround them, they're not even doing their needful. For instance, you were in a security meeting. You've taken some necessary steps to go and implement. Someone among you already gave the information out to the bandits in the bush or something like that. Is it more for us to be more proactive on the kind of people that we bring close to government? Because if there's political will and then your maybe appointees, the people in other places to support you are not there to support you, they are more about their personal interest, it would definitely not get you anywhere. What should we do?
So, you see, this is all about material interest. The people that are doing all this is because they are making money from it. Not because of any pride or anything, no. It is simply about material accumulation, primitive accumulation of money that you don't even need, because some of these people have so much money that they cannot even spend 1% of the money they have acquired. So it is all this mental slavery of money making. That is the only reason that you can see why money that are provided to do this work is being embezzled or stolen. And you now have a situation whereby even officers who have dedicated their life, when they retire to get their entitlement, their pension, they have to go around for another humiliation.
Unfortunately.
This is why you see people are not putting their best for the country.
They are not patriotic to work for the country. Because
they see that even if they put their lives, their energy into it, some people who claim to be leaders would just spend, they will lose the entire money that is meant for that sector. So that's why I said corruption is a major stumbling block toward peace and security in Nigeria.
So for someone with a political will, what should they prioritize in terms of appointments?
So first and foremost is a reform that I had mentioned earlier on that will look at the current personnel and also ensure justice. Because if people have been there and they deserve promoted, they deserve to be given welfare, they are not giving, you are demotivating them. Secondly, if you place ethnic and religious or geographical priority for selecting competency, then you would have a challenge because you will now, neglect other people simply because of their ethnic or religious identity. This is not what we known the security for in the past. If there's any institution that was at least, out of this ethnic and religious manipulation and rascality that you see in the security sector, because you see people, irrespective of where they come, they are posted to places, where they did not come from, and they work and do things very well. Now, you have a situation whereby politicians are politicizing the security sector. For example, look at the crisis going on between the Kano State Governor, who is supposed to be the chief security officer, and the commissioner of police. Not only this one, even the previous ones, because some people are controlling, allegedly, the commissioner, not to even bother to work with his own, person who is supposed to be the chief security officer. You cannot have such kind of system and then you expect effective security in the state. If the governor is going on a different way, the commissioner of police is going on a different way, that's a disaster. That is a catastrophe. And that's what is happening, for example, in Kano and some places where the politicians have decided to go and create that atmosphere of disharmony. Look, if you are going to do security sector reform, all this politicization of the security and placement of personnel, you will have to stop that. Otherwise, you will never have, you can only have a temporary protection for some people, and once the thing continue, it will eat up everybody, including those who are perpetuating this. Because you can imagine, you can't freely move in the northern Nigeria. Not even in the northern Nigeria, even in the southeast, you can't move freely. So if it is not problems you have of bandits in the north and terrorists, you also have another kidnappers, another bandit in the southeast, in the southwest too, in the south. So the whole region, the whole 6th region is unfair. That's the truth. Now,
what should we implement to break the circle? Massive defense budget, suspect procurement, lack of protection, public distrust, rights of militia, self-defense vigilantes. Is civilian oversight enough?
The civilians are not responsible for providing security. The vigilante group, is not their responsibility. Government is given that responsibility and power to identify, hire, recruit, train people that are going to be given that trust. Mark you, it's a trust to carry out that responsibility. You cannot go and bring in people that are not skilled, that are not trained, that did not have the weapons, and ask them to go and face dangerous criminals. It will be a disaster, and it has always been disaster. You see the kind of loss of lives we are experiencing in various parts of the country for those civilians who have volunteered to join to support. Sometimes because of the leakages of information, some people are given leakage. Secondly, federal government must immediately suspend this fraudulent policy of the so-called empowering repented criminals, bandits, insurgents, Boko Haram, because a situation whereby you have not rehabilitated victims of these atrocities. Now you are empowering people who have committed these atrocities. Definitely you are perpetuating more injustice. So government must stop this hopeless policy that only promotes more insecurity in the country. because allegedly many of the so-called repentant Boko Haram and bandits are now the one, providing information to the people in the bushes. So where is the policy working? Policy is not working.
Where is the solution? So is civilian oversight going to play a key role? Because you've mentioned accountability multiple times. And because Nigerians are not the people that hold their leaders accountable, is their oversight going to play a key role? And in what ways can they do the oversight?
So the way they can do the oversight is, for example, like I mentioned, is early warning and early response information. They can help provide credible information, rather than, using their phone to be sending fake news, to be sending, misinforming the public, creating all sorts of things like you see with so many people in the northern Nigeria through their TikTok. Many of them are only interested in abusing and insulting one another. They can channel their energy to ensure that in the communities they are, in the neighborhood they are very vigilant, and they can provide timely information to relevant authorities. That is one role that civilian oversight can do. The second thing is, of course, to work with the security, because it is not their responsibility. They cannot do anything without authorized authority to give them permission to do what they're supposed to do. So they can work with the relevant security to ensure that, people that are identified in every neighborhood, every community are, watched very well, and they can also have a meeting in their neighborhood, in their community, to say, look, even though this child is the son of this big man in our neighborhood, but we cannot allow him to be recruiting our children, into this, either drugs, either robbery, or any form of criminality.
Talks.
So they can play this role by ensuring that they meet in their neighborhood and ensure that they secure, irrespective of whose child, whose father is involved. This is another way in which they can play a role. And I tell you, if at the family level, the family, they can also play important role to ensure that they did not continue to encourage rascality and impunity and irresponsible behavior of their son or their daughter. They can also contribute to the civilian oversight. Yeah. These are all part of the civilian oversight that you can actually play. But if you keep quiet, you do not do anything, then you are not helping in terms of our contribution as a patriotic, responsible Nigerians.
Yeah, so now let's go to the economic. On paper, macroeconomic indicators show some stabilization, especially if you look at the CBN data. The International Monetary Fund just concluded its 2025 Article 4 report, suggesting growth at about 3.4%, partly driven by maybe some services. Yet majority of Nigerians feel no reprieve. Inflation surged to over 34%. Food and fuel prices keeps going up and down and not stable, and poverty deepens. As a civil society watchdog, do you consider these reforms, let's say fuel subsidy removal, forex unification, and other reforms of this administration, still necessary or mismanaged?
Well, I think there are a lot of misconception, or there are a lot of confusion going on. You withdraw subsidy, and Nigerians are contributing a lot of money that you are supposed to use to better up their life through the hard way of paying more money, to buy the petroleum product in this country. There's no any data showing improvement in terms of health spending, effectiveness in health spending, effectiveness in education, effectiveness of even infrastructural development. So truly, you cannot see any tangible ways in which the subsidy has transformed people's life in this country. That's number one. Number two, the so-called inflation, or rather I'm trying to get this, the word, because really, if the economy is moving very well, then the affordability and accessibility of means of livelihood would have improved. Now, what you see is because of the dishonesty in the government circle, today, if the IMF or international organizations say that there's more poverty in Nigeria, there's more corruption, there's more inefficiency, then government get upset and get angry and dismiss it. Now, if the same statistic is used or the same parameter is used to say there's an improvement, you see the government jump up. So this inconsistency and dishonesty of acceptance of data in Nigeria is what is making Nigerians not even believe government, okay? If today there's an increase in poverty, what policies have you actually put in place to mitigate the increase in poverty? You will see that it is zero. Apart from, fake pronouncement, deceptive pronouncement, you don't see nothing.
So what policies should accompany structural reform so that ordinary Nigerians don't pay the price with joblessness, insecurity, poverty, and so forth? So
again, it is also, it's all about the issues of corruption and effective management of our economy. Now, because of the insecurity, no investor is coming to Nigeria except those who want to loot the country. Because
in terms of resources.
In terms of resources, because I have been to several, international meetings where the Nigerian government will invite some so-called investors. Those investors have no even $10,000 to come and invest in Nigeria. I have, even in the last meeting that we had in Washington, D.C. in October, Nigerian CBN and Ministry of Finance organized a forum for investors. There's no any serious person there. All you have is people who want to come and steal money in Nigeria. There's no tangible investor there. They are so genial that you cannot even figure out what they are even doing. And Nigerian government censor journalists. They cannot ask questions in those meetings. This is what is going on. So because of the insecurity in the country, no investor is coming. That's one. Secondly, because of corruption, investor would not come because there's so much judicial extortion. Now, if the judicial sector is not reformed, there's no way any investor will come, because when they have disputes, they will not get, they will assume they will not get justice, and you have to pay bribe, to do that. So they will not want to come to pay bribe. For example, some of those, companies or investors who will want to run their life without corruption, when they come and they are being faced with all this extortion and corruption, they will not want to come. So you have to put in place mechanism to eradicate those obstacles. Then you will be able to, get investors to come. Then they will be able to have people that can work in their factories, in their companies.
And provide job
existing infrastructure you have cannot support investors to come because they are dilapidated, no electricity, and no access to road. Investors come when infrastructure, is there. For example, they can come to set up companies when they know that there's electricity.
24/7 electricity.
They don't have. The road are not there. So for you to be able to deal with the economic diversification, you have to take infrastructural development serious. You have to take the issues of all obstacles that are creating corruption, extortion, crippling businesses in Nigeria. You have to take it serious. Again, small-scale business that you have in Nigeria, they also suffer multiple, exploitation and taxation. Now, the government has taken a bold step to do tax reforms, but they kind of move, they kind of push, they kind of, zeal that government used to do the reforms in the tax should also be used to ensure that the Nigerian people also benefit from the money they pay, so that the money will not continue to be stolen. No mechanism put in place to safeguard this. And so the policy is just to collect.
No giving back.
No giving back. So that is why it's incomplete.
Okay. Your group recently warned that what Nigeria faces now is more than an economy or security meltdown. It's a governance crisis. According to CISLAC, democracy needs more than ballots, it needs institutions that respect right and space for dissent. Do you believe in 2025 that the government under Tinubu offers such a space?
Well, I'm sure even the government will not tell you that they have offered that step, because any genuine and sincere person will not mention that, because look at the judiciary. Nigerians are losing hope and confidence on judiciary every day. Look at the security sector. Nigerians are crying, are losing confidence in the security sector. Look at the emasculation of the political parties in Nigeria. Nigerians are crying that because if you don't join the ruling party, they will instigate crises in your state, or they will make the state
ungovernable.
To be ungovernable. Now, look at the electoral system. The INEC Constitution said don't appoint people with card-carrying members as commissioner in INEC. Today, we have many people that are allegedly party members. How do you think, with this, you can actually improve the institutions of democracy when, all these institutions I talk about today has been, so personalized, so corrupted, to the extent that even the legislature that is supposed to be engaging in patriotic debate, discussion, taking, into cognizance national interests today are silenced and coerced, emasculated. If you talk as a legislator, you get suspended. How did the government then, create enabling space for the media have been gang up? There are very few civil society who can speak their minds, and if you do that, of course, you will never get any legitimate payable. I call it legitimate payable because if you are a citizen, you're supposed to access.
What is a legitimate favor?
Legitimate payable is that if, as a citizen, you have the right to apply certain things, and based on qualification criteria,
merit.
You merit, you get it. Today, if you are not a card-carrying member of the government party, ruling party, you are not likely going to get
So
that.
what are the most pressing threats to civic freedoms in Nigeria?
So civil space is under attack. Today, once you come out to say the truth, you will be bullied, you will be abused, you will be framed, you will be attacked, you will be arrested, like we've seen, even in the case of Barrister Muhi Magaji and several Nigerians who criticize policies in their state, and then they use police to, bundle them. Not only intimidate them, harass them, arrest them, and bundle them. And as I speak to you, there are so many people languishing in waiting trial in various correctional center in this country. This is the situation you have. So how do you think these activities has helped or have helped to improve democratic institutions? No, definitely no.
So is there a pathway for civil society and ordinary citizens to push for reforms, or have we entered a phase where activism invites intimidation, not engagement? This
is why we are having this conversation, because you also believe in social justice. I believe in social justice. I spent about 35 years of my life involving in social justice advocacy, in Nigeria. Right from, when I was in year one in the university, I was a student leader, and then I become, one of the official of the National Association of Nigerian Students way back in 1992, And then since when I left university, 93, 94, I have been involved in the democratic, movement, democratizing, calling for the democratization of the country, ensuring that we, call for immediate demilitarization of Nigeria. We gave our life to ensure that we have democracy. Unfortunately, what we are seeing today is not what we envisaged, what we advocated for, but we will not get tired. We will continue to provide our support, because we believe that getting angry to keep quiet will not solve the matter. We will continue to provide them with necessary support. If it is to provide them with technical support, we will do. If it is about speak out, we will do. Because there are so many Nigerians who have no voice, who cannot speak. We will be able to speak and champion the cause of Nigerian people that are voiceless, that they cannot reach out and seek for justice. We will continue to do this in a manner that we will project our country internationally, so that Nigeria can redeem its image in the country. We have been doing that single-handedly, helping to create a better image for our country.
Oh, and you've repeatedly called for transparency in defense budgeting, public access to information, and audit of security expenditures. If you had the ear of the president and the National Assembly, what are 3 specific reforms you would insist on now? Very specific.
So we want to judicial sector reforms. We want security sector reforms. We want accountability in governance, because the absence of accountability creates opportunity for indiscipline, unethical conduct, corruption, and mismanagement.
Beyond reforms, what role can citizens play, and in what way can everyday Nigerians support a turnaround, reclaim trust, restore legitimacy for the country?
Citizens can play their role by ensuring that they elect competent, responsible, patriotic Nigerians into various leadership positions in this country. They can play their role by ensuring that they do not side with corrupt people. They do not do politics of polarization of the country. They do not engage in misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. If they play all those roles, and they continue to also be patriotic, their utterances, they are also trying to ensure that the country, live, harmoniously, amicably, without name calling of each other, respect for one another, respect the rule of law, ensure that you, do the necessary thing that the Constitution requires you, like paying your tax, being patriotic, being responsive, a responsible person. I believe that these citizens would have contributed to the development of this country, and they can begin to demand accountability from the public official, whether at local government or at the state level or at the federal level. And
despite all odds, insecurity, economic pain, institutional decay, do you still believe Nigeria can emerge stronger? I absolutely believe that Nigeria, God has given this country human and natural potential that they can overcome these artificial challenges. Our problems are artificial. Look, this country is not tested with a tsunami. The kind of disaster you see, the kind of climate disaster you see in other places, God has helped us not to have it. So for me, whatever problem you see here is artificial problems, and it can be overcome. What gives you hope today as a Nigerian?
I am very confident that as a Nigerian, Nigeria, we can be able to overcome our challenges, that we are facing, because these are artificial problems and not natural problems, problems that we can actually work together as citizens to overcome and resolve them. And
now let's quickly do a rapid fire before we call it a day. And it should be quick, short, yes or no answers. In your view, is the defense sector leaking money, leaking intelligence, or they're leaking both?
Both of them.
Nigerians can't breathe under inflation. Is this poor policy or poor priorities?
Both poor priority, poor policy, prioritization, and implementation.
And Tinubu's economic reforms, bold strides or brutal miscalculations?
It is a misplacement of priority and misplacement of, also economic, prioritization and stabilization.
And let's be blunt, who is Nigeria's greatest roadblock? Politicians, power brokers, or security agencies?
Both of them, you find them.
Nigeria's democracy today, functioning or failing?
Absolutely failing, because they fail to meet the expectation of the citizens.
What's the one institution you believe is actively resisting transparency in Nigeria?
There is more than one institution. You have a couple of institutions that are resisting transparency in this country. And you could see from their action, both from the judiciary, from the security sector, you see that these are all institutions that are resisting transparent and accountable, practices.
Are civil society activists safe in Nigeria or increasingly targeted?
I think civil society are being, targeted for speaking the truth.
And in one line, what is the real cost of corruption to everyday Nigerian? Real cost of corruption.
Part of the real cost of corruption is, of course, the lack of ability to move freely. That's the security, safety, and also able to access justice, able to access means of livelihood. These are the three threats
that are a problem to Nigerians.
Exactly.
Transparency International's corruption ranking, is it fair judgment or diplomatic understatement?
We are not doing diplomatic, understatement. What we do is simply to look at how Nigerians, are feeling about public sector corruption. Because what Transparency International look at with that ranking is to look at Nigerians' perception in public sector. We are not measuring, how government is fighting corruption. No, we are just looking at what Nigerians are experiencing on daily basis in public sector corruption.
And their perception.
If
Nigerians knew one thing that is not in the public about this country, the way it is run, what would shock them most?
Nigerians' resilience.
Is what will shock them most.
Yes.
Maybe I should reframe that. If Nigerians knew one hidden truth about how this country is run, what would shock them most?
Well, one of the things that I believe, is the fact that despite all these challenges, Nigerians believe in Nigeria and they believe in their country.
So is there resilience still? And one final strike. In 5 years, do you see Nigeria rising or slipping deeper into crisis? No middle ground.
It is possible.
I'll just take it again. In 5 years, do you see Nigeria rising or slipping deeper into crisis?
If we do the right thing, it's possible.
To do the right,
to overcome this
crisis.
And rise off.
So Nigeria can rise in the next 5 years if the right things are done. Malang Aar Sanjani, thank you for joining us today and sitting with us to dissect the things that matter. Your voice matters, especially in the way things are going in Nigeria. We hope this conversation pushes for accountability, foster understanding, and ignite hope for a change. This has been Spotlight on S24 Television. I am Halima Abdulrauf. Keep watching, stay informed, stay engaged. Bye for now, and good fight for Nigerians tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.